How's it going, everyone? The PlayStation Store is running its New Year New Deals sale, and we've got to look at the deals under the price of $10. Some pretty good stuff. We've got about 15 deals to go over. As always, this isn't covering everything, but quite a lot of good stuff. So let's just get right into it. And let's kick things off with Infamous Second Son. It is 50% off for $9.99. If you don't know, the game runs great on the PlayStation 5, and then on top of that, they do have the Cole's Legacy DLC now available for free for everyone. That got added a while ago, but make sure you add that to your library if you are going to play Second Son. I thought Second Son was a great game. I grew up playing Infamous 1 and 2, so this franchise I am very nostalgic with. I did not think Second Son was as good as Infamous 1 and 2. However, I still thought it was a pretty damn good game. I thought the gameplay was a ton of fun. The open world was fun to explore. The superpowers were great. Narratively, it was pretty good as well, just very much on the shorter side. Like, Infamous Second Son is a game that if you just blitz to the end, you can beat it fairly quickly. Obviously, replayability with the different karmatic routes, and, you know, you can do all the optional content and things of that nature, but worthwhile game, $9.99, good pickup on that for sure. Next up, we do have Far Cry 3. Had to give this a mention as it's 75% off for $7.49, and more importantly, it is now 60 frames per second. Yes, a PlayStation 3 title is now 60 FPS on the PS5. Huzzah! But yeah, Far Cry 3 is a great game. It really elevated Far Cry as a franchise, and I know a lot of people did really enjoy Far Cry 1 and 2, but Far Cry 3 was the game with the villain, with the open world. I think it set the bar a little bit higher for Far Cry as a franchise. Really well done, and still gonna be a good game to go through, even though this year will mark 14 years since it has come out. That is insane to think about, but yes, it is now 60 frames per second on PS5, so that's great. Ratchet Clank 2016, 50% off for $9.99. While it's certainly not the technical marvel that Ratchet A Rift Apart is, it's still very much a worthwhile game to go through. I thought Ratchet 2016 was a great game. I thought the gameplay was solid. Obviously, you got a bit of that comedy, you got a bit of that quirkiness, and just a lot of fun as a action platformer. You'll have a pretty good time with that, so for $9.99, a good deal there. Then we have South Park The Stick of Truth, 80% off for $5.99. I always feel like South Park The Stick of Truth is an easy recommendation whenever it's under $10, and I'm somebody that's not a South Park guy. I have no real care in the world for South Park. Not that I'm against it or anything, I just haven't watched a lot of episodes of it, but knowing that South Park Stick of Truth was developed by Obsidian, and it's an RPG, it's pretty interesting in that regard. And then you realize, like, mechanically, it's a really well done game. It's got that comedy, but also the fundamentals are in place as an RPG. Like, it's really well done, and it does a great job of not overstaying its welcome. I think South Park The Stick of Truth and South Park in video game form, there could be a problem with trying to extend a story for 50, 60, 70 hours, as a lot of RPGs are, but this one gets in and it gets out at the right time, which is an art that more games need to know how to do. $5.99 for Stick of Truth, I think, is a great deal. Next up, we got Gravity Rush 2, 50% off for $9.99. Whenever I recommend Gravity Rush, you know, there's a little bit of sorrow that comes along with it, given that, you know, the IP seems to be a bit cooked at this point, and I don't know if it'll ever be coming back, but man, it is a fantastic game, tremendous art style, great gameplay, and this is a significant improvement upon the first game as well. But I recommend you to play the first game, as it's great in its own right, and it does go on sale often. Just a great art style, like I said, as well. And even though the game is 9 years old, I believe this month, yeah, this month it'll be 9 years old. When did it come out? January 20th, 2017. So yes, it is north of 9 years old. That is insane to think about, but fantastic game, and highly recommend that for sure. Next up, Mirror's Edge Catalyst is 65% off for $9.99. This has been a little bit cheaper, to be fair, but man, I think Mirror's Edge Catalyst is a solid pickup. I know a lot of people were disappointed by it when it initially came out, but I also think there's an audience of people going back and playing this game and realizing that it's a pretty darn good game. EA, please remaster the original Mirror's Edge and get that on PlayStation 5, and then, you know, I can promote that game alongside Catalyst. But Catalyst is a great title that visually, man, it still looks really good, and this game is 11 years old. Came out in 2015, but yeah, worthwhile parkour platformer. I know the more open level designs were more of a deterrent for this game versus the original, but I still think it's worthwhile. $7 is a good pickup there. Next up, if you're looking for an arcade racer, man, WipEout Omega Collection, 50% off for $9.99 is a tremendous deal. WipEout's another one of those classic PlayStation IPs that's unfortunately seemingly cooked at this point. But yeah, WipEout is awesome. Futuristic arcade racer, good soundtrack, high-octane gameplay, and just a lot of fun as a racing title. This was also an incredible VR experience, but it's a PlayStation VR 1 title, so that's unfortunately cooked as well. But yeah, I remember being blown away by this game in VR. It was like one of the standout games in VR, and not really talked about in that regard. But yeah, at this point, you're buying it for the regular experience. $9.99, pretty good pickup there. Vanquish is 75% off for $6.24. Obviously, this game is absolutely outstanding. I say obviously as if everybody knows about this game, but that's far from the truth. This is a niche game done by Platinum Games back in 2010. But man, what an absolute joy Vanquish is. And Vanquish really showcases like the absolute chaos and fun factor in gaming. No, you're not going to get super immersed and engaged into the narrative, but you know what? It's got absolutely exhilarating gameplay, and it takes the Platinum Games style of high-octane action gameplay, turns it up to 11, and it's just all killer, no filler for the relatively short campaign. You know, charging $60 for this game back in 2010, a little bit of a hard sell, but you're paying a tenth of that price now at $6.24, and it's very much worth it. Have a killer time for 5 to 6 hours and then move on. Sometimes that's exactly what you need. Next up, we do have Pentiment, 50% off for $9.99. Now, sometimes I am a little bit down on Obsidian. You guys hear me talk about Outer Worlds 2, Avowed. I think Obsidian is this overrated studio relative to what some people say, but they do have some interesting titles. Pentiment is one that a lot of people gravitated towards, and it's one that I think a lot of people will enjoy at a cheaper price point. It's totally different than their other games. You know, they're more known for their RPGs, but this one has you experience the 16th century Europe as a master artist of the time saw them. Art inspired by great illuminated manuscripts and the earliest printed books become a living, breathing world in Pentiment. Uncover mysteries, choose different academic and social backgrounds, and meet a colorful cast of characters as you discover the stories and secrets that lie within and impact a changing world throughout. If you want something narrative driven with a pretty good art style, Pentiment is available for $9.99. Next up, we have Prey, 80% off for $5.99. Obviously, RIP Arcane Austin. They did an outstanding job with Prey. Unfortunately, after Prey, they did the abomination that is known as Redfall, but Prey is an incredibly atmospheric, first-person, kind of Metroidvania-esque title in that first-person environment. It's really well done. Has a good bit of content for a first-person, you know, narrative-driven adventure. Very psychological, very dark in tone. But for $5.99, this is a great pickup that I would highly recommend. I called it the most underrated game of 2017, and I still think that's the case. I think it's one of the most underrated games of the last decade, to be perfectly honest, and I would highly recommend it at this price point. Next up, speaking of underrated, KLONOA as a franchise is super underrated, and KLONOA Phantasy Reverie series is 75% off for $9.99. This is one of those franchises that, you know, I thought it would just gain a little bit more traction than it's had. I know that there's competition in the platforming market, but really, is there as far as like PlayStation platformers? I know Astrobot is now out, but KLONOA I thought had a lot of charm. I thought it had a great visual style, and the Phantasy Reverie series is upgraded versions of KLONOA 1 and 2. Great collection. If you're into platformers, you'll definitely enjoy that. Next up, Immortals of Aveum is 90% off for $7. Now, I know a lot of people think this game is an abomination, and in some aspects, it absolutely is an abomination. The voice acting is atrocious. The story is a literal dumpster fire. It's awful, and like I said, the voice acting is just so bad. I need to say that again because it was so bad. However, the gameplay in this game I think is great. The platforming is fairly well done. Some of the puzzles are pretty interesting, and if they took out all the narrative elements of this game and just focused on the gameplay, I think it would have been so much better and would have been orders of magnitude cheaper in terms of development costs, but yeah, it was kind of a disaster as far as that's concerned. I think for $7, it's an okay pickup, and I think a lot of people will be pleasantly surprised by it if they check it out. It was a Plus title back a while ago, so you can play it that way if you did redeem it off Plus. SCARLET Nexus is 85% off for $8.99. Man, SCARLET Nexus is one of those JRPGs that I really enjoy that I know some people are a little down on. Is it the best JRPG of all time? No, it's not even in the upper echelon, but there's a certain level of charm to it that I really liked. I really like the characters and the character designs in this game. I thought the gameplay was good. The story does come across as a disjointed mess at times, but there is a decent story there. there that they tried to be a little bit ambitious with how it went down, and you do have 2 playable narrative routes with Yuito and Kasane, 2 playable characters, and they play differently as well, so it's worthwhile to go through it twice. I think for $8.99 it's pretty good. I would give it a look at that price point if you're into JRPGs. Braid Anniversary Edition, $6.79, base price $5.99 if you are a Plus subscriber. Braid is one of the all-time classic downloadable titles. Bend time to solve subtle platforming puzzles in an updated release of the indie classic Braid. Refreshed artwork and seriously in-depth creator commentary is there as well, which I always like the creator commentary whenever they do these enhanced releases. A fresh coat of paint, and you can go deep behind the scenes. Again, $5.99 if you are a Plus subscriber, $6.79 for the base price. And then lastly, Resident Evil 2 for $9.99. Just did another playthrough of this game as I'm trying to go through the Leon titles before Requiem drops. Loved Resident Evil 2. It's an outstanding game. Remember, you do have to beat the game twice to get everything. You go through the game as Leon or Claire, and then you go through the other route, and it's worthwhile to play through it twice. Like a single playthrough, if you just do like the Leon route, it's super short. Like the average player, I think, will beat it in 6 hours, maybe quite a bit less than that. I know speedrunners are finishing it way quicker than that, but for a regular playthrough, and then you do want to play through it again to get all the content and experiences and, you know, the true ending, etc. But yeah, RE2 is great. Go play this, go play RE4, and then get excited for Resident Evil Requiem, which is out at the end of February. But that is going to do it for me. Again, a lot of great deals under the price of $10. Links to everything, as always, in the description box below. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.